Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a deleted user that says, "Am I the arsehole here for telling my husband? This has nothing to do with you. I, 27 female, and my husband, 27 male, just had an argument, if you could call it that. So my brother just got a job and it's great, except he's just got thrown into single fatherhood immediately after. He has a daughter, my niece, who is about 6 months old, and he has no one to babysit her while he works as the mother suddenly isn't in the picture. He called me, asked if I could watch the baby during the week while he works, only for a few weeks, since he knows I'm a stay-at-home mum myself. I would have said yes, but I can't. I'm pregnant and have 2 young kids of my own, one of which does school from home and I have to do it with her, which we're still getting the hang of because we just moved. By the time I'd be prepared for that, he wouldn't need the help anymore. He understood and asked if I knew anyone personally who could help because he was out of people to ask and wanted to try and avoid daycares as he didn't trust it. He said he would pay and cover everything, but he just urgently needed someone, and I said I'd ask around. I don't really have any friends, and I don't know many people in general as I'm very introverted. But my sister-in-law, 25, lives with us, and was just telling me how she needed a job and needed money. So I proposed the idea to her. She immediately agreed, and so I put her and my brother in a group chat to talk, as well as brought my brother over to the house to have a face-to-face talk about it. Now, they're not strangers, of course. They've met before and all, so it wasn't awkward. So they talked about the baby, what was needed, etc. My brother didn't have a long-term plan mapped out right then, since everything was so abrupt, but my sister-in-law was understanding and said she'd be okay with whatever, and that was that. I'm not sure what other details as they text on their own, and isn't really my deal. It was up to them, but ultimately, it came down to my brother Ubering my sister-in-law to his house early in the morning and then dropping her off at home, and seeing how things go, which she agreed to. Everything seemed fine until the day of. My husband came into our room and blindsided me with all these complaints on her behalf. He said my sister-in-law has not been eating since the morning, that she wasn't comfortable and she was tired and that she didn't even need to be there because other people were home and could have watched the baby, and that they only gave her $100, etc. I was confused because I spoke to my sister-in-law while she was there to check on her, and she said everything was fine. So I told him she didn't need to say any of those things to me, and I asked her and she said she wasn't complaining to him. I said to him bluntly, "So she is not complaining, you're complaining for her?" And he said yes. I told him I was confused because he was throwing it all at me as if it's my responsibility, and that sister-in-law and my brother are 2 adults who made their own deal. That was up to her and she agreed to it. Nobody was forcing her. If she was uncomfortable or anything, all she had to do was say it. He continued to repeat the complaints and said, "Do I have to get involved?" I told him the deal doesn't involve him, or me for that matter, and I don't understand why he's the one upset when it has nothing to do with him. They are adults. He told me he can't even have a conversation with me and left the room. I'm genuinely confused. Am I missing something here? My sister-in-law is also confused as to why he even got worked up to begin with. Am I the arsehole? Nah, absolutely not the arsehole in the situation, and the question is, why is he reacting this way? Like you said, sister-in-law isn't even complaining. He's directing his concerns at you instead of talking to either party involved. And the weird comment towards the end of, "Do I have to get involved?" But again, I'm kind of looking forward to just what the reasoning is behind this. But Friendly Ask says, "This is weird as fuck to me. Why is he so concerned about his sister? She needed a job. You got her one. If she worked for a regular employer, would he call her boss and complain for her? What's he expecting his pregnant wife to do? I don't know, man. Shit's weird to me. Do I need to get involved? No, you need to cut the cord, weirdo." OP says, "Yeah. I mean, he threw it at me like trying to make it all seem like I don't care about my sister-in-law or like something was my fault that I needed to correct. But he was the only one upset. My sister-in-law says she's never complained, so I just don't get why I'm the bad guy in this argument." Friendly Ask replies saying, I wish I could give you better advice besides telling him to mind his own beeswax, but that's all it is. If it's going to be an issue, the only people who are going to suffer is your brother who can't work and your sister who needs money. I don't know what he wants you to do, girl, besides having him pay her an exorbitant amount of money to watch a 6-month-old. Or should he also pay for her to eat while he pays for her rides to and from, which again a normal employer would not. They're family, but not family at the same time, so if he wants her to get paid more, maybe he should find her a ride, and whatever your brother spends weekly on an Uber, he can instead give to her. But it seems like your husband will be unhappy either way, unless your sister-in-law just quits, which seems like that's what he wants. Unless the sister-in-law is lying and really complained. It's like, what the heck, dude? Opie says, I flat out asked him, what is it that you want? What do you want to happen? And he said, it's not about what I want. I said, but you're the only one complaining. And he got mad, trying to make it seem like I'm being inconsiderate. I'm confused, and I wasn't even rude about it. Friendly Ask says again, girl, take you and your babies and your sister-in-law and get you all some ice cream and go see a movie. Don't invite him. Sounds like he's just being difficult for the sake of being difficult. You don't need that stress. You just try to help her, and if he can't see that, then that's on him. If he takes it up with your brother, then let him. Warn your brother that this may become an issue so we can start looking for other childcare options. Your husband sounds like he just has some beef with your brother. Maybe it's underlying, but he's pushing this for no reason, and that's super sketchy to me. Opie says, and even then, that would confuse me. We moved to our new house about a week ago, and my brother is the one who helped my husband and I move. They loaded and moved all the furniture and everything together, just the two of them. Zero beef. He even gave my brother an extra few bucks to thank him for helping out. I just don't get it. L'Americano says, tell him to prepare his sister a meal to take to work if he's concerned for her. You two might be blowing up a misunderstanding, by the way. She was simply venting after work. It's okay, she's new to it. And he thinks he has to defend his sister. Try explaining to him $100 a day is a good deal and it will do her good. And should at least consider staying enough time to be able to list it on a CV. Also, just text her and ask her to call you if she's having problems. I know this isn't your concern, but you provided the contact, and this way you just remove any drama coming from your hubby. Edit, if she has concerns and requests, you can have an adult convo about it, and you can parley for your brother and then pass it to him. If it doesn't work, just move to helping bro finding another solution and move on. Better than two people not involved arguing about it. Opie says it'd be easier to understand where this is stemming from, but she says that she didn't tell him anything, and she was confused like I was. So then Opie comes in with their first update and says, so since I spoke with sister-in-law and husband separately and got nowhere, I finally got the chance to sit them down together. I was calm and respectful the entire time. I flat out said, okay, so in regards to the babysitting gig, what's going on? What issues are there and where are they coming from? Husband made a scoffing sound and looked annoyed but didn't speak up. So I turned to my sister-in-law and asked her bluntly, do you have any complaints, concerns or problems with the arrangement you and my brother made for the babysitting? She said, absolutely not. I asked her, are you sure? Did you say anything to husband that says otherwise? It's completely fine if you did, but you have to speak up for yourself and talk about it, even to me if not my brother. She said, I honestly have no issues and I didn't complain to anybody, I swear. Then we looked at husband. She told him that she was fine with the arrangements and had no complaints. Then she asked him why he made a scene for no reason. He got defensive and said, nobody said you were complaining. It just doesn't make sense to me. There's no point in you doing it and it's not convenient. Are you even getting paid good? I sat there trying to understand why he was getting so defensive, and sister-in-law shot back at him telling him it wasn't his business and it didn't have to make sense to him, echoing exactly what the fuck I said in the first place that had nothing to do with him, and that she didn't appreciate him doing this without a good reason. He said he does have a reason, and when we asked what the reason was, he said because it doesn't make sense to me. I calmly asked him which part didn't make sense to him and why he was so bothered by it when it does not affect his/our daily life in any way. That it didn't have to make sense to him because it isn't his arrangement, and he got angry. He stood up from his seat, rambling something about how we were ganging up on him and that we weren't going to make him the bad guy and that nobody listens. Me and sister-in-law just looked at him while he rambled, and she was just as lost as me. I, still very calm, asked him what he wanted out of this, and why he kept trying to involve himself, when sister-in-law clearly said she isn't happy with the agreement. He said, "Nobody fucking uses their brains around here, but me I guess," and walked out. I don't know about y'all, but I'm no ass kisser, and I definitely wasn't about to chase after him or baby him. It was being completely ridiculous in my opinion. So we let him go, and that was it. About an hour later, he came back and started saying things under his breath like, "My own wife just let me walk out, and she doesn't even care about me, and it's just fuck me I guess, I just don't matter." While sighing and dragging it out, I ignored all of it because, grow up dude. And he came into the room and said, "So you have nothing to say to me?" And I was like, "Nope. We tried to address things and you decided to storm off, so that's that. I think you're being dramatic and that's a you problem." He then called me inconsiderate and selfish and left. Welp, I don't know what I'm supposed to do there or what he's expecting, but there's the update, guys. And we have another one in a second, but cultural section says, he thinks your brother is taking advantage of his sister's kindness. He may not trust or like your brother. He may worry they develop a romantic relationship. Either way, he needs to grow the fuck up and use his grown-up words. Have zero tolerance for grown-ass men that throw temper tantrums. Opie says I can't gauge it at all, and at this point I don't even care to because it's just ridiculous. We're all adults. My brother pays sister-in-law handsomely, even paying for a ride to and from home. Aside from texting about the baby or the arrangement, they don't really talk, and sister-in-law is an open lesbian. I tried to ask him nicely instead of being rude and invalidating whatever his problem was, but he couldn't even handle that. I'm so over it that I don't even care what his problem is anymore. Someone says I do. I'm nosy and want to know exactly how ridiculous he's being. Lol. And Opie said this made me cackle out loud. So at some point later, Opie comes in with a second update and says, "Hello once again. I know a lot of you are wanting to know what's happened. With all the support from you guys, I feel I do owe you that. Things have happened and I needed time to be alone, gather myself, and process. My husband kept on with the attitude, the side comments under his breath, and just being weird. I gave no reactions and ignored it because I got better things to give my energy to, like my pregnancy and my 2 children. Anyway, I was cleaning and my husband decided to confront me and asked me why I'm acting this way. I asked him what he meant and he said I'm being away towards him. And I simply told him I abso-fucking-lutely will not coddle him for an attitude that does not make sense for him to have. He got upset, rambling something about how as his wife it should matter to me that he's upset. And I said I have done nothing to him and I gave him chances to explain what was wrong and he didn't. So it's not my responsibility to fix whatever it is. He said this was all my fault. And I asked him, what is my fault? I've done nothing but take care of our kids and our home as well as him. I told him that he made no sense, that nobody did anything to him. Not me, not my brother, not sister-in-law, no one. That I wasn't going to deal with his attitude at all and that he could find somewhere else to stay if he wasn't going to cut it out. He sat down and said, that's what I'm talking about, saying that my lack of giving a shit and my no-nonsense attitude is upsetting to him. I asked him why I'd be wanting to put up with bullshit, especially while pregnant, and why would that bother him? He started all this drama over something that had nothing to do with him, and then it came. He took a deep breath and broke down with confession after confession. He admitted he had an affair. He admitted that he had installed a camera in our home without telling me in hopes I'd do something stupid so he could use it as defense, and that he figured out the woman he cheated with knew my brother, which is why he freaked out about sister-in-law working for him. He admitted he started drama to create an argument on purpose to give him a reason to feel justified, and my calm reactions for everything made that impossible for him. It bothered him that I never did anything wrong, because he had done something wrong and couldn't shift the blame. I could barely react. I kind of just looked at him. My stomach was hurting. I just couldn't wrap my brain around any of it. He told me he was sorry, that he's a piece of shit and he doesn't know why he did it, that he loves me, tearing himself down, and I just told him to stop talking. I calmly said to remove whatever camera he installed and to find somewhere else to stay. He cried and begged and I shut it down. He asked if I was going to tell sister-in-law. You're worried about me telling people or what other people are going to think of you instead of worrying about the fucking damage you just done to our family." He left, but wouldn't stop calling me, trying to talk. Suddenly he wants to have a conversation, huh? How funny. I put my phone on silent and went to play with my kids, trying to be normal to shield them from it. I didn't want them to see me upset. I was broken up on the inside. Had a scare. I kept having a sharp pain in my stomach, and then I started to bleed. I was fucking terrified. I thought I'd lost the baby. My family helped me out. I got to the hospital. Baby is okay. I guess it was just the stress, being too much. After everything settled, I got home, put my kids to bed and cried it out. We've been together since we were like 15. I've never cheated on him ever. We're approaching 30. Like, what type of shit is that? I've never had trust issues with him before. I'm not a phone snooper. I just don't do things like that, and I didn't have a reason to. He's never behaved like this before. Maybe he's cheated before and I just don't know about it. I don't even care to know. One time is enough for me. I want divorce. I will be fair about it. I will not turn our children against him. I won't drag it, but I am done. Thanks for listening, guys. And the top comments after that one said, yeah, he wanted a reason to make you the villain. So he could say, well, she acted like this or spoke to me like this. That's why I cheated, etc. I'll tell everyone and tell your brother about the skank. He knows who was banging your husband. I'll block his number and use sister-in-law as a go-to when he can come and collect the kids for visitation. I know it's hard, but don't take him back. This man tried to manipulate you into being the villain so it would justify him fucking another woman. Piper Wanderer says you summed it up perfectly. He wanted to rewrite the story so he could be the victim, but the truth came out anyway. No excuses, no justifications, just pure betrayal. She deserves so much better than a man who tried to gaslight her into taking the blame for his choices. And Lovely Brooke says, well, at least he finally gave you a reason for his weird behavior. Sorry you had to go through all that drama and stress, but at least now you can move on and find someone who won't install cameras in your house without your knowledge. Hashtag red flags. Absolutely, those comments were spot on at the end there. You don't take someone back like that who's trying to twist everything around to make you look bad after what they've been doing behind your back. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Am I the A-hole 197 and says, am I the a-hole for locking myself in the bathroom and having a very long bath, causing my husband to have to entertain his own guests? Hello. Well, I was not expecting to have to ever post here myself. What a complete 180 that is. I will keep this as short as I can. My fingers are still very wrinkly. Worth it. And it feels very strange typing. My husband often invites his work colleagues for dinner and drinks to our home. I do not mind this, but he always expects me, as his wife, to cook, clean, serve drinks and entertain his guests as he mingles around. I've never attended one of these evenings as a guest. I'm always the one in the background and keeping everything afloat. After one of his last social evenings, I told him flatly that I will not be entertaining his guests anymore. I will not be a bar or a cleaner. I told him that he doesn't understand how much work goes into an evening like that to make it as successful as they've been. Well, he practically laughed and waved me off and said he can handle these things himself anyway. And so the evening came around. He made sure I knew about it more than usual. I believe he remembered our last conversation about the topic and assumed I wasn't serious. Well, once his colleagues started arriving, I took my phone, laptop, and a bottle of champagne and camped out in the upstairs bathroom, having an absolutely wonderful bubble bath. He came up at least 6 times through the evening, asking when I'm getting out, that he doesn't know how to keep everyone entertained, that he has too many drinks and meals to make. All I said was that he should have done some more prep work like I always do. And I reminded him how he said what I do was easy anyway, so he shouldn't be struggling. The evening ended and he has an absolute go at me, telling me how disrespectful I was towards him and his colleagues by leaving him alone in all this. I remained quiet and only reminded him what he told me about how easy it is all anyway. He called me a string of very colourful words and went to sleep in the other bedroom. Am I the arsehole for holding my husband to his beliefs about how easy hosting an event like this is and letting him do it himself? Commenter says, not the arsehole. That's hilarious. Good for you. And it sounds to me like he's mad because not only was he wrong, but because he just assumed you'd ask how high when told to jump. Opie says yes, I definitely surprised him today. People always say to keep things new and exciting in a marriage. Tired Faces says, where are you from the people that are currently having social gatherings like that? It's morning in New Zealand and Australia, so I assume not there. Opie says we're in Iceland. 32 Suki says, yep, Icelandic women inspiring the rest of the planet's women since 1975. Edit to say, not the arsehole. Sev's mama says, not the arsehole, and 1953 called, looking for your husband. Opie says, oh, I know. We're both very traditional, but that doesn't mean I don't want recognition for the things I do for him. Wolf Chick says, my mum was a 1950s housewife, and she wouldn't have tolerated my dad just showing up with a bunch of people either. Octus says, definitely not the arsehole. He played his hand and yours won out. Maybe talk to him about actually helping prep for his colleagues as well as entertaining if he chooses to do it again. Opie says yes, I will go back to helping him. Once he cools off, I will establish that from now on, I'm happy to help with prep, but ultimately would like to be a guest at these evenings if anything. I've done my fair share already, believe me. Oh, to be a fly on the wall or the other side of that bathroom door as he's panicking trying to get Opie out of there. I'd love to see that, to be fair. But what do you guys make of this situation? Would you have acted the same way as Opie in this story? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't